The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
If you've ever brewed your own beer, you may have discovered that bad brewer's yeast, through a process called hyperattenuation, can massively boost the beer's alcohol content, change its flavor, or, in a worst-case scenario, make your beer explode.
Cheers!
New research by the American Society of Microbiology found that adding small amounts of one of 8 different kinds of killer toxins to your beer prevents bad taste, extra alcohol content, and explosions. But if not done carefully, might lead to other problems. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Football full circle.
Falcons priced now to win the NFC South, plus 115.
You got to seal the deal, and turnovers are part of the game, especially when you're on the road. Running the football effectively when you have the lead and closing it out, a bad, costly mistake. I mean, we'll see if he learns from that. They gave the game to Atlanta in the end.
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in. Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline, with the 2 best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius XM Channel 159.
Embarrassing. Embarrassing. No other way to put it. No other way to put it. The New York Jets. Embarrassing. Though that is par for the course for the New York Jets. Let's set the table, folks. We're here on Moneyline. We're on SportsGrid Radio. I'm happy to have you on a solo-style Tuesday, Kevin Walsh. We've got an hour to go. That's not enough time. If we get to anything other than the Jets, it's a good job out of me and a good job out of our producers. Maybe we'll get to other stuff because I'll need to calm down. I am not a Jets fan. No. I am a New Yorker, though. And sometimes I feel that I have to step up and save the city from themselves. There is this rush to defend your franchise when they are handing you an unacceptable product, when they are giving you less than you deserve. Saw it with Giants fans and Daniel Jones. Screamed from the mountains, do not give him franchise quarterback money. Giants fan told me I was crazy. I was biased. None of those things made any sense. I tried to save the city. Little bit of pride, New York. We deserve better. This is a Yanks out here. I know the green might confuse you, okay? I'm not a Yankee, or I am a Yankee fan, but I'm not a Giant fan. I'm not a Jet fan, but I'm a proud New Yorker. I don't like to feel embarrassed. I don't like to watch my friends embarrass themselves, my family, defending garbage. We saw it with Daniel Jones. Hard lessons were learned. Though I'm sure some of you out there right now, 250, beat Seattle, maybe we've got a guy. Okay, we'll have that conversation in a month. But here we are now today. And Aaron Rodgers is running amok with the New York Jets. The Jets being embarrassing is what we've grown accustomed to. Hate to say it, right? But it is. What we've grown accustomed to is the New York Jets letting their fans down. And this most recent iteration of the New York Jets were promised that they were a quarterback away from being contenders. And one of the main reasons that was true is because their head coach in Robert Saleh was an absolute monster defensively. His opening season with the Jets, they were terrible on defense. And then, boom, they're one of the 3 best in football. Follow that up the next season. Rodgers is supposed to come in, freak accident. It happens. Shame to see. Felt bad for all involved. And throughout that season, the same story was being told. Man, this team is legitimately a quarterback away. I mean, if they could get Hall of Fame level Rodgers, they can win a Super Bowl. That guy's probably gone, but they just need someone who is an average quarterback, an above average quarterback. And if they can get that in this room with Robert Saleh's defense, well, then they're going to be able to go far. And now here today, my fellow New Yorkers sit there and defend Robert Saleh being fired through 5 games with a 2-3 record as he once again pumps out a top 10 defense while the quarterback position lets him down. Be better. Be better. You should ask for better. This is how you keep getting up with this garbage. You need to ask for better. You deserve it. You really do. It's a great fan base, the New York Jets. You can't keep getting this slop. Aaron Rodgers running amok. Woody Johnson has never fired a coach in the middle of a season. Fires Robert Saleh 5 games in. It's not a Rodgers thing. People are telling me. This isn't a Rodgers thing. Close friends whose opinion I respect telling me this isn't a Rodgers thing. You are lying to yourself. Lying to yourself. Oh, come on now. They don't respect Rodgers. They don't respect Robert Saleh in the locker room. No. No. The respect is that Rodgers does not have that for Robert Saleh. That's the issue, okay? That's the problem there. Nothing else. Nothing else. And let's look at the 2-game run, because Robert Saleh was out there 2-1, that saw Robert Saleh get fired. Game number 1 of this 2-game losing streak, he holds an opponent to 10 points and an opposing quarterback to 60 passing yards. And before you say, oh, that's Bo Nix, first of all, any quarterback being held to 60 yards is nuts, and Nix threw for 200 plus on either side of that game. Last week against Vegas and the week before the Jets against Tampa Bay. 10 points. That should be good enough in your own building. It wasn't. It wasn't. Look at the offense. Look at the offense. By the way, if you're like, listen, it's not really Rodgers, it's not Breece Hall, it's not the offensive line, it's Nate Hackett. You know whose fault it is? Rodgers. Robert Saleh doesn't want him there. Rodgers made the call. We know it. We know it to be true. So that's the first game of this sample size where we needed to press the button and fire Robert Saleh. But you know what? Hey, give him another week, man. Give him another week. The Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold have been shredding every team in this league. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like Sam Darnold is Pat Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. But Sam Darnold had a passer rating of 100 plus in each of the 4 weeks leading into the Jets game. Sam Darnold had threw multiple passing touchdowns in each of the 4 weeks leading into the Jets game. Right? Yeah. Sam Darnold's passer rating was a 50.3 against the Jets. No touchdowns, 1 pick. What happened? What went wrong in that game? How'd they lose that game? Oh, yeah. Rodgers threw a pick 6. And then he threw another terrible pick. And then on the final drive, down 6, trying to get the game winner, he airmails a pass to Garrett Wilson, who's wide open for the game-winning touchdown after a gorgeous double move. Apparently, I don't know, if Devontae hit the double move just as gorgeous, though, they would have won the game, right? Devontae Adams would have hit it. And then he follows that up by throwing the game-sealing interception. And that's the evidence to fire Robert Saleh in season? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Have some shame. Have some shame. Can somebody in that front office, can that ownership step up and tell Rodgers, you know what? You want someone fired? We got you. We got you. Sit tight. We'll send out the press release soon. Hackett's gone. Hackett's gone. We're in the market for a real OC. Enough's enough. Enough is enough. And instead, I have to get tweets and texts telling me this isn't a Rodgers thing? No. This is only a Rodgers thing. And the Jets are done. That's the reality of it now. The Jets are done because there's no accountability within that locker room. Everybody in that locker room now knows that this is the New York Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers knows that this is the New York Aaron Rodgers. And that is not going to yield the results that they want. Mind you, this team had top 5 odds to win a conference booked as division favorites. They will once again fall short. And this time, the man you blame is the quarterback. And it's not because Zach Wilson's bad. It's because Aaron Rodgers ran amok and you told him, hey, Aaron, it's A-okay, when it's not. It's a break, and we're back on Moneyline. Let's hear what you're saying a little bit about the New York Jets firing Robert Saleh next.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in. Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Florida officials are urging residents to evacuate now as Hurricane Milton intensifies and sets its sights on the state's west coast. With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. Hours before the storm strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane on Monday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis warned residents to take evacuation orders seriously. Several counties on Florida's west coast are under evacuation orders, including Charlotte, Citrus, Hillsborough, Lee, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sarasota. A federal judge ordered Google to tear down the digital walls shielding its Android app store from competition as a punishment for maintaining an illegal monopoly that helped expand the company's internet empire. The injunction issued by U.S. District Judge James Donato will require Google to make several changes that the Mountain View, California company has been resisting, including a provision that will require its Play Store for Android apps to distribute rival third-party app stores so consumers can download them to their phones if they so desire. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Extravagant, luxurious, lavish. The $7 Lux Cravings Box from Taco Bell satisfies all your crunchiest, cheesiest, sauciest cravings. Indulge in a beefy 5-layer burrito, chicken chalupa supreme, Doritos Locos Taco, and chips and a drink for an unluxurious price. It's Lux for less. Get yours today at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks excludes freezers. Tax extra.
Days are getting cooler.
And shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means? It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, let's get in here, folks. We'd love to have you with us on SportsGrid. Shout out Chris, shout out Jordan, shout out Chris again. A couple of fellas are hanging out in the chat with us. Oregon Ducks chatter, you have my attention. We'll get there in a little bit. I am not done with the Jets. We're here on Moneyline, Sirius XM, channel 159, SportsGrid. You want to get over in the chat box, SportsGrid on demand on YouTube. Donnie Rightside's in there as well. I know, my man Donnie, a little bit. He needs his days off, and I don't say that as like a joke, like your decompression days and things like that. I know he's chomping at the bit right now. If I know Donnie, because tomorrow Donnie goes solo here, he's giving you at least one hot segment on Robert Saleh. At least one. Here's the thing, man. I truly do find this decision disgraceful. I'm not kidding whatsoever. they've never fired a head coach in season. We see the rift between Rodgers and Saleh, but are you telling Aaron Rodgers is not living up to his end of that bargain comfortably more than Robert Saleh? I mean, that's just the truth. Now, you don't want that separation. You'd like for these things to be simpatico. But again, I place that on Rodgers, right? Like, that's where him not showing up to mini camps and things like that can create those divides. Because Saleh's trying to do his job and figuring out, can he, be disciplined and make a statement, or does he have to defend Rodgers? And it all gets muddy. It does, right? And again, Rodgers being Rodgers forces this team's hand into having a less than offensive coordinator. Nate Hackett should not be an offensive coordinator at this level. He should not. I mean, the way he flamed out in Denver was nightmarish. And he immediately comes in and gets this job. And we knew why he was given the job. We knew why he was given this job. And he's not good. It's just the case. Listen, I do believe, this is my NBA background, right? Stars have power and they have say and sway, but the winning has to match the level of say, right? And Rodgers' resume, okay, throughout his NFL career gives him a lot of power. Rodgers has a non-existent resume with the New York Jets, and I think that this is, again, way too far, right? Again, if Rodgers' resume gets Nate Hackett the OC job, if Rodgers' resume gets Lazard on the roster, if Rodgers' resume gets them to make the Devontae Adams trade, okay. Rodgers showing up the head coach nonstop and then all of a sudden the coach being fired through the first 5 games, it's way too far. It is way too far. And you see it where he has so much control. I am telling you that is going to rub a portion of this locker room the wrong way. And what you are going to get is a divide. Don't be surprised if your Sauce Gardners, your Quinnen Williams, if they are looking at this situation, right, and they blame Aaron Rodgers for Robert Saleh being moved on from. Don't be surprised, right? I mean, Saleh's had their back throughout this run. He's had their back. So it is just one of those indefensible situations. The Jets right now are minus 140 to miss the postseason. Listed win total is 8.5. You look at their conference odds, though, they're still 5th best at 18-1. That speaks volumes to the way that this conference is lining up right now. That's really what it comes down to. The team right behind the Jets is the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're a 1-4 football team. And that's, again, the other thing. You move on from Robert Saleh, your season isn't over. So you are trying to make moves that you think are going to make you better. Come on, man. Come on, man. With the way the defense is under Robert Saleh, that's a risk I'm not taking. I know that they elevated the defensive coordinator, so they kind of go one step up in Ehrlich to take this job. But, or Ulbrich, excuse me. But that is, again, just an unnecessary risk to take for a team that wants to be a contender. Like, if, again, you want to make a move, the move is Hackett. The offense is where this team is currently losing football games. That is where they're losing football games. If you look at the last 2 weeks, that is the issue here. It is. So, again, people are like, oh, well, Robert Saleh's game management. Enough, man. Enough. Please. That's not it. You know, I'll tell you right now, you take a look here at the Jets' upcoming schedule, right? And for me, when I like to kind of go through my win totals and NFL futures, you try and break things off into segments, right? So I think you probably just take this 6-game window that they'll play in before their bye week. Home against Buffalo, they are dogs in this game. They're at Pittsburgh then on a shorter week. They're then going to go to New England. They'll host the Texans on a short week. Mini bye heading into the desert against the Cardinals. And then they'll be home against the Indianapolis Colts. Just straight numbers. You're looking at a team that's going to be that is a dog against Buffalo. Short line against Pittsburgh. favored against New England, short line with the Houston game, probably a slight home dog. Small number in Arizona. I think it probably depends how things are going at that point, but I think that game's, 2.5 either direction. And then again, a round of favorite in Indianapolis. But if I look at this situation here, right, between the 4-game run of Buffalo, Pittsburgh, New England, and Houston, best case 2-2. Best case 2-2, right? So I look at this 6-game window and I'm seeing 3-3 or I'm seeing 2-4. If you get 3-3, you're 11 weeks in and you're a sub 500 team. If you go 2-4, you're 4-7 and your season is cooked. Right? I mean, it just is. It just is. Does anyone see 4-2 in their next 6 games? Does anybody see them pulling their heads above water and ripping off incredible performance after incredible performance? I don't see that. And that's what it's going to take here. And again, the bar for this team was not go 9-8, sneak into the playoffs. They were division favorites. Division favorites. Well, they just lost one of the best defensive coaches in football. Apparently that's going to make them better. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's get involved, folks. We're on Moneyline. We'll be right back.
Fall is coming. Don't look like an idiot at work. Know your stuff. Football and everything else. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
I don't believe it!
In 1995, Edgar Martinez drives home the tying and winning runs to rally the Mariners to 6-5 win over the Yankees in the ALDS.
Swung on the line, down the left field line for a base hit. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
If you've ever brewed your own beer, you may have discovered that bad brewer's yeast, through a process called hyperattenuation, can massively boost the beer's alcohol content, change its flavor, or, in a worst-case scenario, make your beer explode.
Cheers!
New research by the American Society of Microbiology found that adding small amounts of one of 8 different kinds of killer toxins to your beer prevents bad taste, extra alcohol content, and explosions. But if not done carefully, might lead to other problems. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Football full circle.
Falcons priced now to win the NFC South plus 115.
You got to seal the deal, and turnovers are part of the game, especially when you're on the road. Running the football effectively when you have the lead and closing it out, a bad, costly mistake. I mean, we'll see if he learns from that. They gave the game to Atlanta in the end.
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Fall is almost here. It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Live right here on SportsGrid Moneyline. Brett in the chat. Oh, man. Jets about to go on a run. Yeah, I know. I'm sure they are. Lorenzo in the mix. What up, man? Chris again in there, making it happen. Oh, my gosh. It's just, I don't know. Jets about to go on a run. You like him against Buffalo? Do you? Everything is worst case scenario. Worst case scenario has played out for the Jets in terms of that Buffalo game. Because now the Bills have lost 2 in a row. And so stuff like that to me matters. You look at the history of Josh Allen and his time in Buffalo. And I was on the Texans, this past week. I thought it was a good spot for Houston, good number for Houston. Buffalo banged up. But Josh Allen losing 3 in a row is not something that has happened in his career, kind of outside of that rookie season, right? If it even happened within his rookie season, just kind of looking at the passing leaders. So if you're the Jets, you need to hand the Buffalo Bills a 3rd consecutive loss if you are going to beat them. Your schedule advantage, with this being a 3rd straight road game for Buffalo, is mitigated due to the fact that you're coming back from London, which we know can be a tricky schedule spot. So a preseason spot where it looked awesome for the New York Jets, right? How everybody kind of goes through their futures and things, but there are some spots, if things are close, if you're playing on the margins, right, you then have to kind of dive a little extra into a schedule. And I'll make a college football example for people. I preseason, right, went into Bama, Georgia a little bit extra, right? And due to what Kalen DeBoer has been able to do with extra prep time, I liked Bama in that game preseason, and then it just kind of informed how I wanted to play the futures market, right? I similarly, again, before the year, and it's going to translate heading into this coming week, I liked LSU's schedule spot against Ole Miss at home off a bye. Ole Miss playing a conference game. They're running up now into their 7th straight football game. Ole Miss hasn't had a bye just yet, right? I like LSU there. Ohio State, Oregon. The Ducks at home, little extra rest playing on that Friday night. Ohio State coming off of an Iowa game, which is always a little tougher, right? And I think it's the toughest game everybody would agree the Buckeyes have played this year. I like Oregon. I bring that up to say, preseason, I look at the Jets game and I look at the Bills game, and if those are two teams that you're pitting against one another, trying to figure out who do I like to win a conference, who do I like to win the AFC East, it's a beautiful spot for the New York Jets. Teams playing a 3rd straight road game are often very, very up against it. Yet you look at the way this season has played out, and I look at Buffalo as a road favorite, and I think it's a smart line. It's a correct line. It is. Despite what's played out here for the Buffalo Bills now, where I'm sure for some perception dropping, right? Losing 2 games in a row. I mean, Josh Allen's thrown for less than 200 yards in 3 out of his last 4 games, right? Like, some of my preseason concerns with the Buffalo Bills are materializing in a major way here. Like, you lose Khalil Shakir, and all of a sudden Josh Allen's thrown for $130. Woo! That's ugly. That's very ugly, right? I mean, Josh Allen's averaging 189 passing yards. And look, give him all the credit in the world. He stopped turning the football over. He had not been able to go consecutive regular season games without an interception in over a year. 5 weeks in, no picks. 189 yards. 189 yards. Ooh, that's not great. It's not great. But if you're Buffalo, you've gone into this game against the Jets before, and that defense has given Josh Allen problems. Well, Robert Saleh's now not there. If you believe in Ulbrich, good for you. I am not sure I share your sentiment to the fullest. We have occasionally seen a boost with interim head coaches checking in. And again, I am not sure I see nor agree with that sentiment. That line right now sits 2.5 in favor of the Buffalo Bills. You want to put some eyeballs? Oh, we're going to get some good numbers. Ooh, let's put some eyeballs on week 6. Ooh, we got some look-aheads. Oh, something is moving our direction. I'll explain on the other side with you on Moneyline.
Time to coil up that garden hose.
Ball is here.
And SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and
everything else.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Going back is Brennan. He's looking up, and it's gone! The action courtesy Tigers Radio, 3-0 the win over the Guardians last night in Cleveland. That evens the best of 5 American League Division series at a game apiece. The game was scoreless until the 9th when Detroit got to Cleveland closer Emmanuel Clase. Tigers starter Tarek Skubal gave up 3 hits over 7 full, 8 strikeouts along the way. Will Vest and Bo Brisky finished off the shutout. Game 3 in Detroit this Wednesday. The Royals and Yankees are tied at a game apiece after Kansas City doubled up New York 4-2 last night. The Royals scored all 4 of their runs in the top of the 4th. Game 3 is Wednesday night in Kansas City. Monday Night Football, the Chiefs are 5-0 after beating the Saints 26-13.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Shop Macy's VIP sale going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends from designers that rarely go on sale. And save 15% off skincare, makeup, fragrances, and more. Plus, shop fall specials for even more great deals on top brands at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Right before your very eyes, the boys of summer are about to become the champions of fall.
MLB playoffs are coming.
And SportsGrid will bring you all the angles, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, we're with you right here on the grid, baby. Yeah, man, that stuff's got people fired up. Fired up. I love it. Absolutely love it. We mentioned that 2.5-point line, week 6 line. And, you know, for me, the NFL spreads have been my best market within this football season, which is awesome, right? And I know people love, people kind of love being able to bet the spreads. And, you know, I try and kind of identify it for you guys as best I can when we're doing Pro Football Today. I feel maybe I should have been doing a better job tweeting them out, being a little more specific to people. But you guys know I'm always honest with you. You know that. And right now, the NFL sides through 5 weeks, it does sit at 14-5, which I'm very pumped up about. I've been very selective within my NFL sides. And when numbers move, you know, it's interesting, but a lot of people who bet NFL sides, they want to see the market agree with them. But I think due to the fact that I typically will only be betting my NFL sides on a late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, I am not as worried about the market agreeing with me. Like if you grabbed the Buffalo Jets line, for example, I believe there was a -3 out there, right? So if you grabbed Jets +3, now that it's 2.5, I see why that is paramount for you to, you know, you got the best of that. You got a better number, right? And the market seemingly is agreeing with you. But for me, I look at that game, right? And my kind of soft thought is that I would lean towards Buffalo in that game as we sit here on a Tuesday. And now that I see it's gone from 3 to 2.5, I'm like, oh, good. I'm going to be able to get the number that I want, right? If you look at this past weekend, Seattle was a team that I was very interested in against the New York Giants. That number at, you know, which was out there around 6.5, didn't feel too bad. Factor in a Malik Neighbors injury, who I think would be worth more to the spread than people would realize. And at 6.5, I'd have to look that way. It gets to 7. Some people go, boom, numbers in my favor. Everybody's green. It's Seattle. Hit it. For me, I went, I missed out on 6.5. I lean Seattle. Now I have to think a little bit extra on the game. Dable early in his career was magnificent with extra prep time. Let me step back. Now, again, I'm not touting a Giants, but I didn't bet the spread. I didn't bet it.
again, for me, through 5 weeks, I've only touched 19 NFL sides so far, right? There's been 4 or 5 times that many games throughout this season. So I think the selectiveness has helped, right? And that selectiveness, though, is necessary if I'm going to bet on Sunday. Because when we did this show last week, and I wanted to throw people kind of what I was looking at, right? And I think there were 9 games that really caught my attention. I only bet 3 sides yesterday. And by the way, one of them, which was Texans Moneyline, wasn't even one of the games that had caught my attention, right? But as the week develops, kind of I feel at least I start to get a kind of a better feel for these games and what I like and what I'm seeing here, right? So I was able to hit on the Texans, hit on the Chicago Bears, and then I did lose on the Cincinnati Bengals, which was unfortunate. But listen, sometimes that's the way it breaks. So if we line up this coming week of NFL action, there are right now 3 games that are really standing out to me. Okay, and the first one is at least he's in there. Side better, Kevin Walsh. This guy. He's the best. He's the best. All right, so the first game that's really standing out to me. We kind of played this game a little bit last week with the Bears-Panthers game because I was really surprised by the line. And ultimately, it looked like Carolina got way too much respect in the market, right? So I saw the Eagles-Browns spread, and yesterday kind of played the game a little bit with some of our crew and just said, hey, what does everybody think that line is, right? Heard 3.5, 6.5. I think maybe 4.5 were the guesses that I was getting back. This number is 8.5. The Eagles are an 8.5 point favorite here against the Cleveland Browns. And this is where I go to what is, my system, if you will, right? I'm not a model guy. I don't sit there and tell you, here's what I make the number. How I like to bet is I use spread math. A lot now, spots and things like that. But, I've kind of coined that phrase, spread math, right? You hear me talk about all the time on college football today, right? It's somewhat of that transitive property. And the Browns are on the road for the second straight week against an NFC East team. Last week, they just played the Commanders on Sunday, and they caught 3. So spread math would tell us that the Eagles are 5.5 points better than the Commanders on a neutral. No, they're not. I have the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. I still, and I know this will sound crazy to people, I still think they're the best team in the NFC when fully healthy. But what we've seen from the Commanders, due to still, I think, the up and down nature of Philly, I can't say they're 5.5 points better. And I was having this conversation with somebody who goes, now hold on a minute. Now hold on. We've got new information though, right? Like Cleveland got destroyed by Washington. Like, should we be comparing those numbers week over week? And I said, this is the point of spread math for me, right? Yes, there are reactions, but I'm looking for an overreaction, right? So if you said to me that the Eagles are a field goal better than Washington, right? That means that this number then kind of week over week would be sat here at -6. But again, how many people with the way things are lining up would even say the Phillies a field goal better than Washington? Again, not many. But it means that we still overreacted by 2.5 points blasting through key numbers, to me, off of what we saw from that singular game sample size. So I look at that Browns-Eagles game, and realistically, 7 or better, Cleveland looks like a play for me. I don't see how that line doesn't stay above 7, right? If it's 8.5 right now, despite being, again, forget the fact that I'm an Eagle fan, somebody who thinks the Eagles were the best value on the board to win the Super Bowl and feel fine about my position. A.J. Brown, Lane Johnson, Devonta Smith, all these guys expected back, right? Or at least potentially could be back for Philly. I think the Browns look like one of the most intriguing sides of the week. I'll tell you another one. Big dog. The New England Patriots catching 7 in their own building. I have to be careful betting too much on the New England Patriots as somebody that got knocked around with them as a best bet when they went to the Bay Area, catching 10 and a hook against the Niners, and became one of the very few teams this year that have caught that type of spread and not covered. But the New England Patriots getting a full 7 here in their own building, man, this is where the other kind of version of spread math, but it's when we go home field advantage. And home field advantage right now, there's a lot of debates out there. What is it worth? Is it worth 1 point, 1.5, 2 points? Let's call 1.5, right? It's not worth 3 anymore, right? I probably would tell you I value it at around 2, but let's call it that 1.5. Well, that means if the Texans and the Patriots game went to a neutral field, it is a 8.5 point line. If we flip this game in Houston, it would be Texans minus 10. That's what the Niners laid. The books don't have the Texans all the way that high, in my opinion. I think this line's a bit overinflated. I think Houston is in a bad spot, coming off of an awesome victory against the Buffalo Bills, where they had to stave off a big Bills comeback. And that is the only game this year the Texans have covered, and it was picked. They still only won on a walk-off field goal. They've not been able to separate their Patriots at 7 or better are catching my eye. And then there's one more that would be moving against me that I don't really care about, and I'd like to see keep on moving. I'll let you know about that. We'll do some college football as well here on Moneyline.
Hands up and wave, get a drummer some. I already gave the summer.
Yeah, it's getting cooler.
Football weather is here.
Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
AP Top 25 college football this week. Some big moves. Texas up a spot to number 1. Ohio State up 1 spot to number 2, while Oregon jumped 3 spots to number 3. Penn State up 3 spots to number 4. Georgia State is put at number 5. Miami up 2 spots to number 6. Alabama dropped 6 spots to number 7. Crimson Tide coach Kalen DeBoer
left ourselves a little less wiggle room to achieve some of the goals we have, but those goals are still out there, and we need to just focus on what our whole mindset is always to improve every single day, and that's never going to change. And to improve, I think you got to have things in perspective and focus on the right areas, and our whole team is doing that.
Tennessee tumbled 4 spots to number 8. Ole Miss up 3 spots to number 9. Clemson jumped 5 spots to number 10.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up.
Sit tight.
The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information
to give you the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, back to right here. We're on Moneyline. Happy to have everybody again on this Tuesday solo style. Quickest, I think we've done one of these, for me at least, flying by. So let me just get right to it. Falcons-Panthers. Now, to me, looks like the time to step in and bet on some Carolina. This is, I think, the right number. So, again, folks, it's kind of funny, but, spread math, right? This is like the bounce around of it all. And then I explained this all last week, and when it came to why I felt like I had to bet the Chicago Bears against Carolina. Well, now the books have gone and flipped Carolina in their own building, catching 6.5 from Atlanta. an Atlanta team that should have. When I say they should have lost to Tampa Bay, we assign that, I think, maybe sometimes in sports a little too loosely. I don't know, right? Where we go, oh, they should have lost. Like, if they just called the face mask, which absolutely happened, it is first down, Bucks, game over. The Falcons should have lost that game. This wouldn't be this number. This is a number higher than what the Cincinnati Bengals laid in Carolina. But now, because I'm greedy, I hope it hits 7. This was 5.5. I really hope that this number hits 7. Because, well, why not? It might. So that'd be great. That'd be great. Brett just said I'm an old man who only bets sides. I said that to Lisi. I think I'm going to become just the side guy. Enough of the props and parlays, and let's just bet sides. And I'll tell you what, that's how it looks right now in college football, man. The big one, though, is Oregon, Ohio State. There are a lot of big games. There are a lot of big games this week, but it's 2 versus 3. They're both unbeaten. Ohio State, Oregon is the biggest game on this slate. Now, the loser will still be in a great position to make the college football playoff, but we know it's going to impact the Heisman. Now, I hear in the background, we're trying to get our guy Koski on so we can defend the New York Jets. I can hear him. Is he here? Is this going out over air? Oh, look at him, 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 look at him.
Whoa.
What's up, bro?
What's up, brother? Just got back from getting a pump in. I mean, what a great way to get a pump in, Kev. Hearing this Robert Saleh news, I mean, the day's great for me. I'm loving it. Things are great right now in Jetland.
Why are you so happy that one of the best defensive minds in football is no longer your head coach?
First things first, Kev. He's not the defensive coordinator. It's Ulbrich. That is why the defense is shining. That's why he's the intern head coach. I mean, Saleh has his hand in there, but he's not calling the plays. He's not in charge of the defense. And like I said to you on Twitter, the times are changing. You get a franchise caliber player in there, Hall of Fame player in Aaron Rodgers. Saleh can't keep up with the times. The Jets have to salvage the season now at 2-3. Otherwise, everything they put into Rodgers, everything they put into this Reddick trade that's not happening, everything they put into this season is going to mean nothing. And I had to make a move now. And I agree with it, Kev.
But okay, so then why not fire Nate Hackett then? He's been terrible. He's been worse than Saleh.
Kev, I agree that Hackett should be fired. It is a problem, but Hackett should be fired 100%, right? But this is clearly a call from Rodgers. Like, everything you see online is that Saleh was shocked by this move coming into the office today. To me, that makes it seem like Rodgers went to Woody Johnson. He said, You want to salvage me? You want to salvage this franchise? You want to salvage the season? Get rid of Saleh. Clearly, they were not seeing eye to eye. They did not get along. And Hackett should be gone, but that's Rodgers' friend. And they want to make Rodgers happy, so Hackett is here for now. And let's be real. Rodgers, he has his hand in the play calling too. So how much of it is Hackett? How much of it is Rodgers? I don't know, but it just seems like a move they had to make the Jets to salvage their season.
So I think here's my biggest problem, Chris. Here's my biggest problem, because I know that Jets fans and many people have felt that Robert Saleh was not good enough to be a head coach. And that happens, right? Some guys are great DCs, not good. Steve Spagnuolo, right? Like the Chiefs are cheating that he gets to be their DC for a decade because nobody's going to give him a head coach job. So I get that. But my problem is Rodgers running the franchise. I don't like that. I don't think he should be running your franchise right now, and that's what's happening. Woody didn't fire Gase in season. Like, Chris, I know you. I know things were worse with Adam Gase than they are with Robert Saleh.
Oh yeah, of course.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I agree that this was all Rodgers' move, and was it great to give in to Rodgers? No, but this is who you put all your chips in for. Aaron Rodgers to save this franchise. So whether it's a good move or not, this is what you signed up for when you traded for Rodgers last season. You got to do what he wants to do. You signed him. You put all your eggs in the Rodgers basket. He is your savior for this franchise, so you have to do what he wants to do. Now, what happens now if the Jets make a magical run to the postseason, right? Is anybody going to be like, oh, Rodgers, he had his hand in this? No, they're going to praise Rodgers. They're going to praise Woody Johnson. So it's like it's a double-edged sword. If this goes egg first on the Jets right now, and they go even worse than they were with Saleh, yeah, I mean, the whole blow-up is going to be bad. Rodgers is probably going to be gone next season. Douglas is going to be gone next season. But if it pans out and the Jets make a run and they win the AFC East, they make a playoffs, no one's going to remember that this was Rodgers. They're going to be like, look at this. It was all Saleh. Rodgers was great. Salah wasn't great. So, I mean, we just got to see what happens. But I don't know what's going to happen with Devontae Adams now, Kev. I want to know your take on that. Does this take them out of the Adams sweepstakes? If you're Adams, do you think, like, I don't want to go to this fire pit. What the hell is happening here?
No, I see. Again, like the crazy bit of it all is, and you and I have talked about this. For those that don't know, Chris and I do game time together every night. We do college football today together as well. But my concern with Devontae was it coming off like Rodgers has too much control. Who cares now? Who cares? Yeah. Trade Garrett Wilson for Devontae Adams. This is his team. But to a degree, like there is no other quarterback, Chris, who owns a franchise like this. Rodgers has played 5 games for your team. He has not earned this, in my opinion.
So he doesn't earn it, but it's a depleted fan base, starving for postseason, starving for success. The longest playoff drought in the NFL, right? Like this team, this franchise has been a disgrace. And Rodgers knows this is a disgrace. He knows that he is the god right now among this team. He is the saving of this team. If they want to go anywhere, they got to give him to Rodgers. And he knows that. He knows he has the brass around his fingers. He knows he has us fans wrapped around his fingers. He has all the control. He has all the power. It's his way or no way, and that was clear today with the Salah firing.
All right, we have 15 seconds. You got a sizzle in Mets Phillies?
No Vientos over 1.5 hits, runs RBIs. No more Scott Flying Merchant. He's got in the sweet spot. Let's get it. Let's go Mets, baby.
Oh, my man Chris. I'll see you later, brother. We'll close out Moneyline on the other side with you right here on Sports Grid Radio.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall. The World Series is on its way, and Sports Grid brings you every angle. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Sports Grid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on Sports Grid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. Sports Grid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find Sports Grid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. The early line.
What would happen if you signed a guy like Gardner Minshew or Tua goes down? You would beat teams like the Tennessee Titans, and you would beat teams like the New England Patriots. The one thing you have to account for in the NFL now is to get a solid backup quarterback, specifically if your quarterback has concussion issues. I can't believe they dropped the ball so bad that Huntley is their quarterback, and he is terrible.
It's the early line with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the Sports Grid Radio Network.
No way football is playing in the fall and winter.
Because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
We're in a mix. Closing it out. It's Moneyline. Shout out X-Man. Washington. Ohio State money line, Utah 6.5, and Colorado money line. Big week, man. Big week in college football. You look at this slate. You guys want to go behind the curtain? Here's how the opening hour of our college football Today show looks for you on this Saturday. Oregon, Ohio State, USC, Penn State, college football playoff odds breakdown: Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina. That's just your opening hour. That's just your opening hour. With the number one team in the country going down, barely making the cut for the opening hour there with Alabama, South Carolina. We will be getting into Colorado and K-State, though, where that game matters so much. So first of all, if Colorado wins that football game, for me, my money right now, I believe Kansas State's the best team in the Big 12. That's how I see it. I may end up on K-State in the game. I got to, we'll see when we get there, right? We'll lock in on Saturday. A win for Colorado. They're probably ranked, but more importantly, they'd be sat 3-0 in the Big 12. And at that point, why wouldn't they be considered a threat to win that conference and then therefore make the college football playoff? At which point, again, I know there's a lot that has to happen, but if they beat Kansas State, that will become the conversation, right? Travis Hunter probably jumps. He might jump Genty with a win for the Heisman Trophy. If Deion makes the CFP, if Deion wins the Big 12, if Deion's in the Big 12 title game, Shedeur is going to go to the NFL. Travis Hunter is going to go to the NFL. He has been great at Colorado. But Deion's personality is bigger than Colorado. But Deion didn't have high-level credentials to where it was misplaced him getting the job. I mean, he got a power-level job, right? That was his entry to the FBS level. But if he, in the second year at Colorado, wins the Big 12, makes the Big 12 championship, Deion then will be so much bigger than CU that the conversation will flip to who's going to hire him to come in for their program, which is an incredible shift, because off of the Nebraska game, the conversation, does Deion step away to go watch his son play in the NFL? Which, I mean, if he wants, he could, right? Like, if he's interested in that, Deion could still do that. But Deion is, again, a few wins away from changing the conversation massively. I think Deion, with what he is able to do recruiting-wise, I think the Floridas should be looking at him. The Gators and the Seminoles, I think they should be looking at him. If he backs that up now with winning, I mean, come on. Deion Sanders, right? Here's kind of the thing that is, not talked about a lot when it comes to Deion as a head coach. And I get it, but he was dominant at Jackson State. He was absolutely dominant there. So while I know that, again, won't hold as much weight for some, if he has a dominant run there, gets the power level, and by year 2 is making power conference games, conference championship games, I mean, he becomes candidate number 1 in the market. That's what happens. That's what's on the line this week against K-State. That's what's on the line. Is Deion becoming candidate number 1 with a bullet to replace Mike Norvell or Billy Napier or whatever other power job decides to shake things up? That's what we're talking about. Can't wait, man. Cannot wait. What are we going to college football? It is going to be. We will be on Game Time with you tonight. We'll talk some college football, some NFL, and some baseball, and some WNBA. And NHL begins today. My, oh my. We'll see you there.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in.
Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.